The Great War Part 1, 1914-1918. Marching toward war. Rising tensions in Europe. In the 1900s, Europe witnessed several gradual developments that would ultimately help propel the continent into war. The rise of nationalism. One such development was the growth of nationalism, or a deep devotion to one's nation. By the turn of the 20th century, a fierce rivalry had developed among Europe's great powers. Competition for materials and markets was one. Territorial disputes were another. Imperialism and militarism. As European countries continued to compete for overseas empires, their sense of rivalry and mistrust of one another deepened. Another troubling development was the rise of dangerous European arms race. The policy of glorifying military power and keeping an army prepared for war was known as militarism. Tangled alliances. Growing rivalries and mutual mistrust had led to the creation of several military alliances among the great powers as early as the 1870s. By 1907, two rival camps existed in Europe. On one side was the Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. On the other side was the Triple Entente, Great Britain, France, and Russia. A dispute between two rival powers could draw all the nations of Europe into war. Crisis in the Balkans. Nowhere was that dispute more likely to occur than on the Balkan Peninsula. This mountainous peninsula in the southeastern corner of Europe was home to an assortment of ethnic groups. With a long history of nationalist uprisings and ethnic clashes, the Balkans was known as the powder keg of Europe. A restless region, some Balkans groups struggled to free themselves from the Ottoman Turks. Others had succeeded in breaking away from their Turkish rulers. These peoples had formed new nations, including Bulgaria, Greece, Montenegro, Romania, and Serbia. Each group longed to extend its borders. Serbia, for example, had a large Slavic population. It hoped to absorb all the Slavs on the Balkan Peninsula. Russia itself, a mostly Slavic nation, supported Serbian nationalism. However, Serbia's powerful northern neighbor, Austria-Hungary, opposed such an effort. Austria feared that efforts to create a Slavic state would stir rebellion among its Slavic population. In 1908, Austria annexed or took over Bosnia and Herzegovina. These were two Balkan areas with large Slavic populations. Serbian leaders who had sought to rule these provinces were outraged. In the years that followed, tensions between Serbia and Austria steadily rose. A shot rings throughout Europe. Into this poisoned atmosphere of mutual dislike and mistrust stepped the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie. On June 28, 1914, the couple paid a state visit to Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia. The royal pair was shot at point-blank range as they rode through the streets of Sarajevo in an open car. The killer was Gavrilo Princip, a 19-year-old Serbian and member of the Black Hand. The Black Hand was a secret society committed to ridding Bosnia of Austrian rule. Since the assassin was a Serbian, Austria decided to use the murders as an excuse to punish Serbia. On July 23rd, Austria presented Serbia with an ultimatum containing numerous demands. Serbia offered to have some demands settled by an international conference. Austria rejected Serbia's offer and declared war on 28th of July. Russia, an ally of Serbia with its largely Slavic population, took action. Russian leaders ordered the mobilization of troops toward the Austrian border. Leaders all over Europe suddenly took notice. The fragile European stability seemed ready to collapse into armed conflict. The British Foreign Minister, the Italian government, and even Kaiser Wilhelm Wilhelm, ruler of the German Empire, urged Austria and Russia to negotiate. It was too late. The machinery of war had been set in motion. Europe plunges into war. Nations take sides. By mid-August 1914, the battle lines were clearly drawn. On one side were Germany and Austria-Hungary. They were known as the Central Powers because of their location in the heart of Europe. Bulgaria and the Ottoman Empire would later join the Central Powers in the hopes of regaining lost territories. On the other side were Great Britain, France, and Russia, the Triple Entente. Together they were known as the Allied Powers of the Allies. Japan joined the Allies within weeks. Italy joined later. Italy had been a member of the Triple Alliance with Germany and Austria-Hungary. However, the Italians joined the other side after accusing their former partners of unjustly starting the war. In the late summer of 1914, millions of soldiers marched happily off to battle, convinced that the war would be short. Only a few people foresaw the horror ahead. One of them was Britain's Foreign Minister Sir Edward Grey. Staring out over London at nightfall, Grey said sadly to a friend, "The lamps are going out all over Europe. We shall not see them lit again in our lifetime." End of the Great War Part 1.